Yeah, it's only for the recording.
So my name is Shami. Um, I'm heading VM for Reliance Retail. So I take care of their premium brands. So right now I'm taking care of five of the brands which are there present across India in most of their Reliance trend stores. We do have EBOs as well for those brands across Pan India. So, on an average, I have somewhere around like 1,700 to 2,000 stores altogether that I'm taking care of. So it's a big, task, BM task that I have. I have an expertise in, I guess, designing and creating, conceptualizing, and implementation of VM. So I do a creative bit and vendor management together. So
So as a category, you'd say apparel.
yeah. So as a category, I have an experience in apparel. So I have 15 years of experience altogether. So I work with brands like Shopperstock, Raymond, uh, Big Bazaar. I started my career with Big Bazaar, which is an FMCG. And starting my career with an FMCG brand was I guess it's a base that's been created for me because when you're working for an FMCG brand, there's a lot of work that you have to do because you have so many categories to work upon. And simultaneously, there's a lot of communication that you do inside these stores, from shelf level communication, so the drop downs. Then there are every day there's a new promotion that's coming in. So if you have 30 days, I guess 25 days there's a new promotion that is coming in. When you're working with a supermarket or a hypermarket kind of a format. So I started my career with Big Bazaar, then I worked with lifestyle brands like Shopperstop, then EBOs like Raymond. I was heading VM in Blackberries prior I joined Reliance, and there was a lot of there's a lot of vast experience that I have in catering to different categories, which comes to apparel because from FMCG to an exclusive brand outlet, there's a shift altogether. So there's the VM that we do in a supermarket and hypermarket is very different to what we are doing in EBOs and your small format retailers. So in an whole, like as a whole, like I have this kind of experience in VM, and that's the path that I took in VM from past 15 years. Thank you.
If we can just keep it very quick so we can focus and get more time for our.
Hi everyone, myself Santosh, heading the operations and sales for the body shop from Quest Retail to the company names. And I have Christy from Bhubanesh, who is heading the VM for the body shop India, and we're here to get to know both the brand and solution so that we can incorporate.
Yeah, we'll leave it. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Mansa Jain and I'm working with Kama Ayurveda, and honestly that's the only brand I've ever worked with. I've been with them for 10 years now. So my expertise is skincare. I have no other, honestly it's skincare, and I look after visual merchandising and new store designs. And also fixing up old store designs as we go. We keep learning every day, so yeah, I guess that's my expertise.
Hey everyone, my name is Consuela Rosso. I am currently working for Lens Cards, but I'm not going to say my expertise in it isn't either. My expertise lays in apparel and costumes, basically. And I'm not even going to say how many years I have as a visual merchandiser. But yeah, and I've been in India for 2.5 years. And hopefully I'm going to be here for some more time.
Hello everyone, I am Ankit Yadonchi. I work with Gantt and True Religion, and I basically work for the design part, window design, props design for both the stores. And I do all the VM related implementation in the stores and vendor management and the costing for all the materials that we deal.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashok and I work for Timex Group India Limited, it's TGI Ireland Global. And I take care of roughly around 30 to 40 brands. I keep losing track always because they keep adding and taking off. So there are 14 watch brands, which you guys know, like UCP, GAN, Nautica, Epica, they're all there. And we make watches for them, so that's fun. And so my story is a little different than you guys. You got all I have also studied fashion and marketing and design, but I started as a sales guy. So I can sell anything. So I don't have an expertise that way. I'm good in apparels or because I have done everything, but I can just sell. So that's my expertise. Whatever you give me.
Hi, myself Swaraj Manna, and I'm basically heading the visual merchandising and design team in V Bazaar Retail Group. Okay, so we are basically value retailers. It's a value retail chain, and we don't have like thousands of stores, but around 90 stores right now. And basically, if you talk about my expertise, so I am from the apparel background, from apparel design background, costume design, and as such, like I have expertise in arts and interior, fine arts, all those things. So I do my own exhibitions as well. So that is one thing. Lovely meeting you all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Prerna. So I'm the owner of Mohanlal Sons, and VM is one part that I handle for my company. So it's a little different because I come from an architecture and interior design background, and I also run another firm by the name of Prerna Design Studio, wherein we are doing designing and furniture customization design for other brands. Like we're working with brands like we work with brands like PVR and Nika and with salons, book salons. So we work with brands like that. And of course, Mohanlal Sons is our family business, and my husband's running the show, and I am handling retail and fit outs and design for MLS also.
Hi everyone, this is Shivi from Clear Lego. We run a very small startup in Bombay. My expertise is from IVF. I've been working in IVF for approximately 13-14 years. Previously, I was with Bobby Parker, US, and currently we are trying to build something for the bottom in order to provide affordable eyeglasses. We have 100 plus stores. I'm the founder and I do everything.
I was about to ask. I can do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Kritika. Currently I'm working with VMart and I'm leading the NSOs over there. So I look after the NSOs, and that is all about all the VM which goes with a new store opening. So I look after.
Hi everyone, myself PS Mukherjee. I am working in VMart last 13 years. I am taking care of PM planning and execution. And my expertise is basically MPM plan and vendor negotiation.
Hi everyone, my name is Arman. I am basically working from the Manan as a RVM. I am taking care of 40 plus stores, and my expertise in like execution and planning.
Hello everyone, my name is Anshu Gobi from Crocs. I am taking care of 22 stores pan India with franchisee ST.
Hello everyone, my name is Misa Mehdi and I am taking care of Crocs stores on behalf of GNM Footwear, and I'm handling all planograms and VM launch. And I think I'm not expert, but I am learning and it's a good part.
Great. So now everyone knows everyone. As we move forward on the next cycle, I'd like to invite all of you to share experiences rather than theory on some of the subjects. So we'd love to be able to, on the various things we talked about, hear examples and anecdotes which help others sort of relate to what we are talking about rather than the GAN part of it. Yeah, just to keep it relevant for all. So let's start with a quick overview. We have a lot of different categories getting represented here today, from footwear to watches to fashion to eyewear to department stores. Can you share any experience which brings to everyone else some nuance of your category, which maybe others may not have understood, but which others can potentially learn? So maybe we could start with you, Shivi.
I think one major nuance for our category is face mapping. Okay, so that is a very critical aspect. So when we place the inventory, as per the sizes, the size is not small. It can be large also for petite faces. And when we talk about teenagers to, let's say, 18, 19 years old young kids, it is very difficult to segregate inventory and map it out within the store. Initially, we used to highlight our prescriptive eyeglasses at the front, but we are a tier 5 kind of a brand. So, especially in smaller towns, people don't care about eyeglasses. Sunglasses attract more. So, we changed the entire show and we placed sunglasses at the front and people started coming in because they thought that this is a sunglass store. And eventually ended up buying prescriptive eyeglasses because that is the core category we are in. Another nuance, which is our experiment, that we started selling contact lenses because I came of a school of thought that contact lenses is a new category which will create new customers. But core India, if you go to smaller towns, they don't care about contact lenses. There's hardly any sales. So we lost a lot of amount of space and in terms of inventory and a lot of time in educating people about contact lenses, while it is none of their concern. So I think those are the nuances which we have faced and evolved over time.
Also, I would like to add on to that. I know it's a little new for you.
Yeah, eyewear is quite new for me. So for me, visual merchandising is, besides numbers and sales and everything that a business technically wants to take out, for me, it's about people. Which is why I always try to use customer psychology whenever I try to implement something new. This means for the past 3 months almost, I've been literally observing how people are behaving in the stores, where they go first, where they look first, and it's all about adapting and adjusting whatever has been done before into the current trends. What are the sidelines? Why do people go mostly to the right side first? How can you highlight a certain thing? If there's any option of mapping the let's say the traffic in the store, if there are any dead areas that you can take advantage of. So yeah, for me, in terms of eyewear, at this point, it's mostly about observing customer psychology and trying to adjust the product to what the customer wants.
Ankit, you want to add any nuances from watches?
That's a big challenge always with Arpit. But I've been called random, so it's fine. I really don't really bother anymore with that. So Arpit, Ankit keeps on going.
So sorry.
With watches, yes, what I was just talking outside is the more the accessory goes smaller, VM gets challenging. We always think apparels are difficult. I think it's the easiest. And I was telling them it is the easiest thing. I can just put two prints together, it's easy for me. But when it comes to watches, and because they all look different, but you have to create a balance in it. You have to put all the aesthetics into it. Then you also have to add some sort of a storyline to it. Adding the scheme in the apparels is very easy. In decor is very easy. But when it goes to accessories, like again, Kama, you have 5 variants. What kind of a story can you create? And watches, especially working in a mass brand watches, or Timex, like I'm sure you all know, is a very mass merchandise product. We have more than 400 variants in the market, and these are not global variants. So launching them, and these are launches every 2 months. And the reason I have been doing watches for 7 years now is because this is the most complicated product. This is the most shoes, anyone who's talk about technologies, sit in a watch factory, you understand the pain these guys go into, that even a fraction of mm goes wrong, the entire watch is screwed and you have to make it again. And there are processes from design to designing, sketching, and then laying it there. And then one guy sitting technically putting everything together. So I really like all of this, that technical part of it. And with my aesthetic, I really like to showcase that part of the journey, that while we're trying to show the lifestyle part of the watches, like you can actually wear it, but also understanding how it comes. So it's technically understanding the language of the luxury brands, how they really like to talk. I mean, like how.
Anecdote you would like to share?
Sorry?
Any anecdote of something you tried that?
Not really as of now because it's just very like how it's very new for me, and my business is not that organized like these guys. I mean, they all have 40 stores. I don't even like to see the number because it's way too much. It's like 4,000 point of sales for me, and I am still. I've still in 6 months just cracked the surface. I've understood timings as a business concept of how they really work, and it's very complex. And what we are really trying to do is to give all our customers the same brand, the same look, the same feel, and actually show it. Because with the brand we do see a lot of challenges which are not VMs related, but in the past the way brand has grown, where people go through comparing it with Titan. That is another misconception people have. That Timex is actually a brand from 1854. We're gonna turn 170 years next year. That is the biggest, I think, achievement for being a watch brand. And what all you wear today is Timex apparently, because we got the expensive watches which the Britishers used to have in their pocket and everything. All those fancy watches. Timex is the brand who got them to your wrist. And so that is, and they have been advancers in doing the technology, where in every 10 years they come up with something. So all the radium dials, the indigo dial and everything, waterproofing and all, that's all Timex. So I'm really trying right now to put this in the stories, and you actually when you go in Timex and see it. So a lot of things are happening now in the brand because we're taking marketing and VM very actively. So I think by next year you guys will actually see a lot of Timex happening around.
Mansa, you'd like to add something from the skincare space, and maybe we'll go on to Santosh and Christy after that.
Sure. So there are 2-3 things that I think I can talk about. A, we are, if you go to any Kama Ayurveda store, we are very fixated, like how you mentioned at OCD. Yeah, you found the So we are very fixated. The idea is that let's say a customer walks in a store in Khan, or they walk in a store which is let's say in Kochi or like Chennai, but the vibe and the feel that the customer gets is the same. That is something that I've been hearing a lot, that how do you guys do it? But honestly, OCD is the answer for this.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, the thing is when I started working with Kama Ayurveda, we had 2 stores. We moved to 64 stores. So there has been a lot of learnings, hit and trials, misses, all of these things. We have built up something which is like, we think it's really nice and there's a long way to go. So very recently what we did in the shelves, because the old stores did not have light boxes. And moving forward, technology is playing a very major role. So we started introducing these light boxes in the stores on the shelf, which talk about regimes. Also, what started happening was we started adding a lot of SKUs which supported the original product. So let's say I had a serum, we added a night cream or a day cream. When we introduced the light box in the store, the game changed. The feedback that we got was people are actually buying the range rather than buying the product. So these are very little things that we kept doing, and we're still doing it. As I said, it's an ever progressive journey. The other thing that I feel is the challenges that VM department faces is more internal, where sales is like sales, and VM is like design. There's a lot of external fight, I would say. Like you really want the store to like not scream sale but be pleasing to the consumer, but it's a fact. So I'm assuming all of you go through the same thing. Yeah, no.
All the time.
All right.
Is that a no or yes?
It's a no. I know the answer to the question what she's asking. Like how you really make them understand what you want to say.
I fact. I'm like no. Yeah.
So in Body Shop, basically, the way you said it, we do not have a story, but yes, we find out a way to connect to the customers, how they are moving inside the store, whatever, which side they are looking at, and how you want to highlight the products and everything, and how we can connect it with the customers directly. That's our main focus. I feel like being a VM, that you need to connect with the customer. And now, if you see the latest format that Body Shop has come up with, it's completely about natural and raw products. All our stores are FSC certified. It's completely made of recycled plastic. The products, the packaging, everything is made of recycled plastic. So I would definitely ask you guys to visit one of our stores. You will definitely get the hang of it. Once you feel the product, you can even feel that in the fixture itself. So yeah, so that's how Body Shop is also revamping itself. together. We are coming up with new ideas. I'm not going to disclose it. But we are going to work really hard on that so that none of you can copy that. Yes. You want to discuss something?
So yeah, Crocs. Any footwear perspective that you've tried, which is different from your peers and.
Yeah, we Crocs work on narrow and technology. So we are
From a
one.
VM perspective.
It's a display.
Oh.
Yeah. So what we do there, we display one product on three pagons. So it's easy for customer to get size easily and browse.
Now everyone else is apparel. So anyone wants to share any examples of something you've tried which was innovative, which has really worked? Consuela, you want to?
I can.
You would have tried, I'm sure, quite a few things.
Okay, so this is an old story. Many years ago, I used to work for an Italian brand. They had stores in Romania and in Russia. Completely different customer types and all that. But they only sold clothes. No accessories, no footwear, zero. And I assume that we all know that some clothes look good on the hanger, some clothes do not. And even if you put them on the mannequin, maybe the story is not complete, especially if there's no accessory added to it. And back then I was literally obsessed with Vogue UK website. They had and they still have a section that is called Street Chic, if I'm not mistaken. And for me, it was fascinating to see how people interpret fashion and trends and stories in different parts of the world. So I went to my boss and I said, I would like to create a section on our website. And she said, brilliant idea, your budget is zero. So my budget was zero, which meant that every single day I would travel to a completely different store with a massive backpack, with shoes, sunglasses, scarves, necklaces, you name it. I would take one girl from the store, take her somewhere to a coffee place in the mall. I would also have my DCLR because I love taking pictures. I created the section on the website. I learned how to write in HTML. I forgot everything. But sales increased. And what I was doing, I was either picking worst sellers and put them in a story, or taking simple basics and try to highlight other products. And for me, that was literally my first fashion retail baby. But it was amazing to see how sales started picking up on products that would literally not move. And that was actually when I started looking into customer psychology and how we actually work with people and we work for the people. I know it sounds like a US thing, but we literally work for the people, and people have emotions. So you have to cater to those emotions one way or another. And I also don't believe in lying to the customers because they will figure it out. So as honest as you can be, and put the story as nicely as you can, and stay true to yourself. And that's one place where you can start things. But for me, that was the anecdote. Let's say it was my first baby.
I've read anything you want to share?
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, so I think it's apparel, but it's slightly different in our case because it's celebration wear and formal wear. So it's like it's an amalgamation of different type of categories that we would wear for like a wedding, and then what you can also wear for office. So that's what we sell, and we have around 30 plus stores. One thing that I did and I implemented within all the stores, and I feel that it really worked out, and it really like sort of boosted the sales, was that we sort of categorized the garments, which usually is not a common factor in the apparel stores. So like we have categories, suppose we have kurtas and we have shirwanis, or we have a badgala or a jodhpuri. So we started having these which would also not look very, very, like overwhelming and like on your face, but subtly we started having these categories within the store, and wherein the customer could just walk in and he would see that this section, what the section is all about. So otherwise you're definitely relying on the salesperson or the manager to walk, show that, okay, this is what you're doing here and this is the category. And in fact, we've gotten down to the extent that now even in kurtas and to the bottoms, we started fragmenting it, saying it's silk kurtas, these are chicken kurtas, these are chudidars, these are straight cut pants, these are jodhpuri pants. So that has somewhat really helped in educating the customer, and without really, going behind the customer. So they really know that what can be teamed with what. Of course, there are mannequins there where you can, because there's limitation on the mannequin, how you can stylize and how you can put things together. A kurta might look like a chicken kurta might look very nice with the chudidar, as well as it might look nice with the salwar. So there's limitation. You can't like fill up your stores with mannequins, and there's limitation on how much pictures you can run, how many. And it's all about like creating those combos. So I can just like putting those categories there, we really feel that we increased our sales like by a double-digit number. Yes.
Swaraj and Kritika, is there anything you want to share?
So basically, there are two things which I'd like to share. Since we are a value retail chain, and we have apparels as well as general merchandise, then home accessories, kitchen accessories, some electronic appliances as well. So it's very challenging to actually maintain all those categories in a smaller space. Okay, so we have roughly around something around 7,000 to 10,000 square feet each store size. Okay, so the major challenge that we face is like in a brand generally you send in one particular design you send too many number of pieces. Okay, but we have huge number of styles in each of the categories or each of the divisions, if you call, like say in men's denim or any particular thing. Okay, so and generally replenishment is done, but there is a vast number of styles. So creating a story becomes a little bit challenging. You can create a story, but maintaining that and replenishing that same product, because generally what happens when you display a product on the mannequin or in the window display, then the customer generally asks for that particular product. But fulfilling that need becomes sometimes challenging. That is one aspect, and that is from the product side. But from the VM side, I'll say one challenge that we face is like basically I'm very much keen about doing greener initiatives in the stores, but generally getting the budget for it is a big question, because generally doing greener initiatives inside the store as far as displays are concerned, generally the charges will be a little higher. But to counter this, I did something which I like to share. In Christmas, I think one Christmas like last year or before that year. Okay, so what we did, we used the cartons in which the garments generally come in the store. We used that and then used some colored papers to create Christmas trees, and it was almost like using zero cost. Okay, and it was done inside the store. You don't need a vendor for doing that, and we just shared the steps in which it can be made. So it's something like what you do in school or in your colleges or school, something like that. So that's kind of an activity, and basically the CSS staffs, they get engaged also doing that, and it was a good response basically that Christmas.
Yes. While we are on budget stores.
Sure. So, as my friend already mentioned, that we always have a limited budget, and we have too many of options. Like हमें सब कुछ बेचना है. N number of things we are selling in our stores, be it home mart, footwears, eyewears, and FMCG, watchwear, clothes, and even if I talk about apparels, we have a lot of MRPs over in it. We have a lot of options. So again, creating a story is quite difficult, and we are always crux of a budget. We don't get the budget. So what we started doing was like we started creating, we initiated a thing that we named it Hastakala. So we tried to, especially during Independence Day, we used to do paper draping of mannequins, and we initiated Hastakala at the store, which also added in the VM part, and it also created impact to the customers, and as well as if we talk about our staff, they used to enjoy creating something because usme vendor was not involved. It was complete little budget we used to give them to bring out the color paper, scissor and all, and it was the staff who used to do it. So they also get excited about creating. We used to do it the same thing during Independence, Republic Day, or even during Diwali. We always used to create that story through Hastakala, and we always initiated this thing. So I think that was the innovative thing we did in VM in the budget.
Adding to this budget story that everyone is having, I think upcycling of your props, your windows have become very important, especially when you're working for a Lala, right? So when you are in a Lala land, it's very important, to work on the things wherein you can have power over the budget and you can save a lot of money. So there was one window that we did for Blackberries, and there were like certain props that we had used in that particular window to create that. So I got a call from the brand head, and he was like, "Can we use this window for the next 2-3 campaigns as well?" So I told him like, "How can we use the same concept, right? Every time we are, when we are launching any new collection, we need to have something different." So he was very adamant that he was like, "No, we have to use this window only. Now you have to decide like how you're going to use it for next 2-3 campaigns." And I was like, "Really?" Then what I've decided is like we worked on the concept and we created the concept in a way wherein we have used the backdrop and we have done certain changes with the props that we have used in the window, and we have used it for not 2-3 campaigns, 3 campaigns, but for the next 2 campaigns and the sake. And I still remember the budget for Pan India windows was somewhere around like 60 lakh, and we saved somewhere around like 50%. We came to 30 lakhs altogether, and you know, and that particular window was a hit. And then Bernard came to me and he was like, "Tremendous job! You have done an amazing job because we have lost just 50. We have just saved 50% of the budget that we used to get for the windows." So I think upcycling and recycling becomes very important when you're working for any brand. And there are certain formats that you work for, like EBOs and NBOs, where you don't get budget for anything that you do inside the store, whether it's your props, whether it's your window, whether the focal points that you create. Similarly, when I landed up in Reliance, we have these trade shows that happens, every 6 months. So there also, what we do is like we create fixtures, and these fixtures we use time and again. So if we are doing a spring-summer trade show, and we're using certain fixtures for spring-summer, we use the same fixtures by doing or tweaking a bit with the current fixtures that we're using, and that we put in our bottom winter as well. So I think sustainability, upcycling, recycling has played a very important role when it comes to VM, and it also impact the organization, the company, and to save on the certain budget that we get for the VM, so that can be utilized in other things inside your store or maybe the facade. So again, the budget that we used to get in Blackberries, if I talk about Blackberries, the amount of budget that we used to save, we used to use that particular budget for Diwali lighting. So if you would have seen, like we I guess we've been nominated for best Diwali lighting when we have done lighting for our Blackberries EBO stores, company-owned stores. So I think upcycling plays a very important role when it comes to VM.
So, with that, I think I'd like to take it to a slightly different tangent. We heard Mansa talking about all stores looking exactly the same experience. We heard Shri talking about the need for a different experience in tier 2 stores. I'd like to invite if any of you have stories where you experimented, you deliberately went for different experiences in different types of stores and why and what did you did and what happened. Anyone else who has experiences?
So this more than anything else, it becomes the need for us to do that because the customer is very, very different in every market. So what we sell in Punjab would necessarily not sell in Maharashtra. So if we are putting up like a Diwali window there, and we know that this is what is going to move in Punjab, it's going to be completely different merchandise. What it's going to be, what it's going to be like in a different state. So that becomes actually a challenge for us, and we have to tailor make as per the market every time. So we actually come up with like 6-7 formats which can be different, and then we sort of segment the entire, all the stores in certain areas, and we have to then implement the windows. So we have to do this like all the time because depending upon the the cultural habits and what sells in every market, it's pretty different. Yeah.
Anyone else who goes for different VMs in different markets?
Yeah.
As you correctly said, that it's different for different because we are a diverse country and we have so many religions and so many type of different people in India. I think even if I talk about the category of merchandise that goes around India, it's very different. For example, if I talk about T-shirt, which moves more in east and less in in north region or maybe the west region. Similarly, if I talk about checks, which are very famous when it comes to Chennai and the South Indian region of India, right? So definitely planogramming and windows and in-store, everything when it comes to displays also, everything plays a very vital role when it comes to catering to a particular region or an area in India. So yes, we do a lot of changes in terms of windows, planogramming, in-store displays, as per the as per the taste of that particular region and the taste of the people that are there in India. So yes, there's a lot of change, and you correctly said that it's very important to cater to a particular person the way that person likes it. Right? So it becomes very important.
Just one I just wanted to add to this. Now again, I'm not going to talk about Lens Heart. I'm just going to talk about my best previous experience. I would say it's a mix of keeping things the same and changing things based on region. And why? First of all, it's the brand identity. Certain things are usually kept the same. It's just like with IKEA stores. Wherever you go in this world in an IKEA store, if you have been there before, you will kind of know how to guide yourself. So there are certain things that stay the same. Now, what I think definitely needs adjustment is the type of product. For different cultures, for different religions, for different festivals that are happening. So I do believe there is a need for change, and we've done this in the past in Romania and in India as well. But the let's say the way customers flow in the store is usually pretty much the same. It's just the actual product that you bring to the customer.
She covered it though. I mean, she said it right. But I think I'm still gonna say it. So I think it really belongs. It actually is on the brand. So the same thing which she said we have tried to do in India. So my past company, Daniel Wellington, opened some 400 stores across the world. So we did that in China. We opened something different as per China. But what we were trying to really see and we have understood from consumer psychology is when the brand is higher, when the brand goes bigger. So for example, if you're shopping in a Louis Vuitton store, you don't want to be different. You want the same Paris experience when you're shopping in New Delhi or in Mumbai. So they don't care because they want that experience. The brand offers that kind of service to them. So I have seen that Valentino has opened and they have done the entire facade pink because Valentino was launching a pink collection and people were happy doing that part. So I think it also depends on degree of the target customer we are focusing. If they're going very, very local, Of course, there are certain brands which are like I would say top, not even Tommy, but I think some brands have done a small drop of that cultural reference to it, where they show okay that we are going local, but aesthetically they still kept it. Yeah, Starbucks does that. But if you go Starbucks, they have tried to take that Starbucks is a different because they're offering you a very personalized emotion over there. So that won't really come to a fashion and lifestyle thing because here we're showing an aspiration to a different level. Starbucks is more emotional and they're trying to give you a personal time. We are trying to show you that this girl looks beautiful. You buy this and you look like that. I mean, that's what we are showing, right? And that's what I believe that we always do. That's why always a pale girl in a bag, Fendi bag, is holding a bag and she's there because we show that kind of a thing. That this is the aspiration we're trying to look at. I mean, if you just look at the advertisements going from these brands, and that's what we try to paint a picture which is showing that there's a lifestyle that everybody wants to live. So I think going local and going, keeping it same really depends on the target market we're focusing and the brand we're working on.
Got it. Anyone else wants to
I
add
would like
anything?
to add one thing. So I remember, although this is a little off the discussion what is currently happening, it just crossed my mind. So I remember that our sales were very low at a certain summer months, like they get like a certain low and it's very cyclical, the business, because obviously October and February is the main cash cow season for us, yeah. So what happened, I remember we tried with this experiment where around Eid, all the markets pan India, wherever we are primarily concentrated in the north, but now we are moving towards west and the south as well. So we started having, we did an Eid window. We did an Eid window all across. And it in certain markets, though we realized we weren't able to, like fulfill the demand. We got that kind of demand, and we realized that weekend we'd already like crossed the teams had crossed their sale targets because that was an untapped area. So most of the retailers, our competition in our segment was not doing that. And so it went like, usually it's top down, the approach is different. Usually the management will tell you that this is what is selling and this is what you need to project, or this is what is happening in this market, this is what you need to showcase so that it sells further, or this is what is not selling, this is what you need to focus on. But this was a completely different approach where we realized that there's a void, that there's an opportunity, and this is where our sales are hitting, and this is this occasion where what we can target. And it actually happened that after that we started planning our merchandise in a way that we started filling up those certain stores where the Muslim population was higher, and it actually gave us a very good response, and like the sales got on. So sometimes it's, I feel, you think like in a different way and it just works. Yeah.
On that slightly different tangent again, there are some questions here around how do you create a store experience for a budget-friendly store as a value store, and India is primarily a value market. And on the other hand, how do you create an experience which is that of a luxury store? How do you, and I think you guys have built a luxury brand from scratch. So I would love to hear from you, Mansa, starting with the luxury aspect of it. What are the nuances from a VM perspective?
I think a lot of it is planning way in advance. So, for example, we just launched the eye serum. That's a new category that we started with. We created a unit for it, which had the active molecules coming out of it. And I know that I'm going to launch a new product in the next 2 months. So I designed the structure in such a way that I can take some things out, put some things back in, because the things that we create are super expensive. And now that the number of stores are growing, the budget obviously is skyrocketing. So a lot of it is planning. I would tell the marketing team that give me things 6 months in advance, so that when I'm planning my thing, if I have to maintain that luxury that we're talking about, and I have to be within the budget, then I think it's a lot of PERT, GAN, all of these things, not the brand, but the chart. A lot of that coming into play, and also working with the best vendors. That is something that we have realized a lot, that we might try to, basically don't be penny wise. No, what is the saying?
Yeah, penny
wise,
pound foolish.
Yeah. So we did that in the past. I won't say we didn't do it in the past, but going forward, we are only working with identified vendors who we know we can trust for quality and those kind of things.
Anyone else would like to share on building?
I'm not gonna present the luxury experience, but I, generally speaking, I think it's a lot of teamwork. And when I say teamwork, I mean not just within the VM department. It's a lot of teamwork with the marketing department, the product department, sourcing, everything. Because yes, it does take a lot of planning. Now this is what happens besides behind the scene. But then there is also the actual space where you present the story. And like on a more practical level, I would say the way you know your customer, the way you decide what is it that you want to highlight to the customer. And I've seen a lot of stores who struggle with the lights. And for me, this is one of the most important aspects because it literally takes your eye to wherever you want it to be taken.
So how would the luxury store lighting should be different from?
I wouldn't say it's the lighting that should be different. I would say the difference, visual difference, comes in the amount of stuff that you have displayed.
Density.
Yes. Value brands usually tend to have a lot of things, and that's one struggle. Luxury brands tend to have less, but I also think that's a struggle because you don't know, from the very beginning what is it that you want to highlight. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a massive collaboration behind the scenes and in the actual stores.
So I'd be interested in bringing up to the team, anyone who can, the visual differences that you go after when telling the luxury story, apart from density, some elements of lighting possibly.
Sorry, that's my expertise. So lighting does play a part. So as more technical projects, it is like, so for example, if you go into a fast fashion store, they use 6,000 Kelvin lights. Luxury uses 4,500 Kelvin lights. So luxury is always dim, it's always lounge. Like I said, they're selling you a picture, they're selling you Angelina Jolie with a bag. So they're going to give you the entire lifestyle of a celebrity or some very high powerful person. So this is my experience all across the world. I've never seen a queue apart anywhere else, but you enter, I don't know, Siam Paragon, if everybody's heard of it, I'm sure Bangkok, everybody's been. I just waited for an hour just to have a peep in Eleanor store, and there's a huge line. So you just wait there. And they are trying all kind of things they can do, like Dolce & Gabbana, Vice, all the brands you have. They all stop you because they will only attend 2 customers, 3 customers at the most. India, of course, India still also started line now. So you have lines and importers when you want to shop. You have to take prior appointments. So this kind of things have also started coming up in India. Visually, mostly I think they have very intense team. They have very big designers. Like they have a lot of influence comes from big magazines. Like of course, I'm sure everyone knows Anna Wintour. She commands the whole fashion industry that way. So her influence from the day one the collection is getting launched to the fashion runways and then finally coming to the stores. In fact, they also filter down what they're really going to give it to each market depending upon the customs. For example, Anaconda boots are not available in India. You cannot buy snakeskin stuff. Turkey, ostrich pants are not available in India. So these all things are also coming, but they're very, very careful on what they're really giving in that market. I don't know if you heard about the H&M thing happened where they have a cool monkey window, where they have an African boy with a cool monkey hoodie in it, and it became chaotic. And it was just the entire Africans went bizarre, and the brand team had to apologize, and the VM team had to apologize because they used that particular prop in the windows. Luxury alignment is very important. Attention to detail is very, very important there. I mean, the shoe has to be a certain way. The bag has to be a certain way. You cannot group more than 3. You have to have every product because you think of walking into that store, even a small wallet, which is they're charging them 40,000, has its own unique story. No one's going to be happy if you put that wallet next to a bag saying that, oh, these goes together. They don't like it. Because if I just want to buy the wallet, I want the wallet to stand out on its own. So a lot of in-depth consumer psychology goes into where you have to understand in terms of their motivation things. So for example, each target market you all deal with has a very different motivation what comes to them. For there's some it is utility, for some that is self-esteem. Luxury is all about self-actualization. They have reached that path. They have the money. They drive the best of cars. They drive the best of houses. They holiday in Paris and France, like Paris and Maldives all the time. They don't need what we want. They don't need the. They want art. They are in their own world. They create their own thing, and that's what luxury shows. The kind of platform and the kind of things they offer, the collection, the craftsmanship, the material they put there. That all really, segregates luxury in a different way. And that exclusivity part that you cannot buy. So I have seen those experiences also where people, when I've walked into a store and I've just asked them how much is the glasses for, and they just thinking that I can't buy it, saying, oh, this is for 300 euros or 200 euros. Before even showing me the product, they will just throw the price so that they just really question your ego that way that you should buy or not. So that's also one thing they really play at. Coming on the other side, I think answer to the question, lights, very important point. That light should always be working. Flickering lights, for me it's a ghost door. Then I really get scared about it because I feel like the ghost is somewhere. But more than that, I think this one, cleaning, hygiene. Even if it's a small store, it's okay. I mean, you have stuff kept out, but it should not be dusty. It should not be dirty. You should hide your junk. As simple. You should not have your cartons kept on the floor. You should not have your plastics lying around. So even I think a basic, which is an Indian saying, cleanliness next to godliness, that is something if you just apply. You don't need the fancy prop. You don't need anything because the kind of crowd which is walking in your store, if you're a budget-friendly kind of retailer, the kind of clientele you're going, they just look for hygiene levels and they just look for cleanliness. That's all. Anybody wants to?
Okay, good evening everyone. So,
if you can start with a quick introduction, so everyone doesn't.
Okay, my name is Arpit, and I have very recently joined Blackberries as a head of VM. Before this, I worked with brands like Samsung, Ajay Birla, and Reliance. So that's what. So, asking your question, I just wanted to ask on that. When you talk about visual, are we talking about the software sense and the brand imageries, or are we talking about consumer? How do they perceive the stores?
Just in store.
In stores, in terms of brand imagery. So, yeah, I think he has very aptly answered that. And I think when we talk about lighting, what for a layman's thing is, when you are selling something which is very cheap or at lower price points, everything is very highlighted and like a 99 store kind of a thing. So everything is very well lit. But as you go into the luxuries, I mean, the focus on the product and mood lightings become more important in those regards because you only want to highlight those specific areas where consumers you want to focus on. Like if I'm sitting or if I'm standing in the store like a 10 feet or 20 feet away from the wall, if I see something with a halo or a kind of a mood swing, I would want to walk towards that. So that's the kind of attraction that we're creating. It's a consumer journey that would be put across those things. Whereas it's a well-lit store, if it's an impulse buying, then you don't want consumers to go to some specific area. They can just land up wherever they want to because the building is more important there. So I think that's about the visual imageries.
I think billing is important everywhere because ultimately everyone has to be profitable and they have to pay their bills. So, and lighting, yes, of course, it's an integral part, and as we do it for other brands and my own brand, Mohanlal Sons, also. Depends. I mean, it really depends on product to product. Depends on, it has to be tailor-made. It cannot be like a one-stop solution for anyone. Like for example, you would know this for if you're looking at skincare or beauty. So there is a certain lighting which you need to put on the person's face when they're trying, and your complexion needs to look flattering. And it could be a Nykaa on-trend store.
Oh, sorry for that matter.
Yes, it could be a Nykaa on-trend store, and it would apply to both, or it could be a Kama Ayurveda, So it really depends, I think, from product to product, category to category. And as far as the luxury element is concerned, see, most of it's only, if you're talking about celebration wear, Indian wear, most of the designers have not been profitable till now in India. It's only now in the last 5-7 years, and especially post-COVID, that you've seen, or we would say last decade, I would say that that churn has started happening in the market where people have disposable income, or the mindset has changed. Even if they had that, they've started spending on luxury. So even and you cannot, or it's not like that. It's only there were only very few designers like Rohit Bal or Sabyasachi who've been able to made it affordable and have had that kind of scale. So coming to our brand, I feel it's bridge to luxury. We are selling products like we have like a 2,000 or a 3,000 rupee kurta, Plus, we will also have like a Sherwani, which is 1.5 to 2.5 lakh rupees. So it's bridge to luxury, I would say. And there is a gap that you need to fulfill. And we need to make, I feel that you need to make it's aspirational, but also you need to welcome the customer. It's both ways. So you have to when your customers, it's the warmth, it's the hospitality that we offer when a customer's coming with like 6 people, 7 people, a wedding group is coming, or they're coming to buy an array of products, and you want to service them with, probably get them like a lassi or a coffee, and then ask them something. And even you cannot forego a customer who's just coming to buy maybe a tie set or maybe a pair of cufflinks. You also have to make them feel equally important. So that's my take to it.
Yeah. It's the first time I'm going Sabyasachi is affordable.
No, but then a Chandni Chowk lehenga you would buy, nothing is less than 2.5. If you go to like Shringar sarees or Apsara, it's not less than 2.5 lakh rupees. And you go to a Sabyasachi, so its rate starts at 2.5, 3 lakh rupees. So at wedding, then especially with the Indian big fat Indian wedding as we call it, we are prepared to shell out that kind of money for a wedding lehenga or a sherwani. So he's made himself that affordable. He's not a Falguni where he's selling it for Falguni shade where they're selling it for 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs. So it is rather affordable what he's done. And he's profitable now, it's working. It's working.
So let's flip it around now.
Yeah.
And if there's any experiences or anecdotes you have to share on how do you use VM to make the store look affordable and yet, inviting. I definitely see product density as a definite one. But any other examples you want to share?
I'd like to add one thing since we are talking about lighting. Okay, so there is this. I'll say a few years back, around say some 8 to 10 years back or something like that, in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So generally, when we talk about one AC showroom in tier 2, tier 3 cities and tier 4 cities, I'm talking about. Okay, over there, they say that if you put like an AC showroom with proper lighting and less number of articles, then sometimes people in India, in those cities, get frightened to enter those stores. Okay, thinking that whether it will be affordable or not. That's one of the big questions that comes. Okay, so this is something basically when just the previous question that we're talking about, the luxury part of it. Okay, so over there, what I feel mapping the customer journey is very important. Okay, although see you need to understand and you need to basically plan it prior that how the customer who is entering, since there are very less walk-ins or very less customers will be walking in, and you are generally, as we mentioned, that there is a queue outside and you are just entertaining 2 customers or 3 customers. Okay, so you generally pre-plan in those cases that like how the customer will move from one product to the other, and you generally pre-plan and focus those areas that way, such that like how his journey is gonna be and how that person is gonna react. Okay, that's what I feel is the luxury part of it. Right? And coming back to the affordable segment, what I see is like this is one part of it that I think why the lux level is.
Example, if you can share, that will be more relatable.
Yeah. So basically, what we try is basically displaying more amount of product. The density is generally high, and I'll share one experience also. Oh, what we tried. This is around 3-4 years back. Okay, so generally, if we talk about Zara and all, which is although very affordable when we see outside India, but in India, it's considered a little bit Saman premium kind of a segment. Okay. So over there, what we see, they are using more of table displays. These products are generally displayed on table. It's not about the walls there, they're hanging, but the customers can browse. Okay, but 4 years back, we tried it in a tier 4, tier 3 cities. Okay, replacing all the denim displays just as an experiment thing, putting it on the step table itself. Okay, we were just doing some hanging and shelving displays as such, but putting those in the step table itself. And to my surprise, the response was not very good. Although we expected it to be very good, but we then called it off. So that's it.
So I just want to add something what Subhav has said. So there's a case study on Bata. There was one store in Patna where Bata finally decided to renovate their store. So prior renovation, the store was a kind of normal store without a glass facade, pillars, and a lot of shelving that is there inside the store. After the renovation, what they have done is like they put in glazing, a glass glazing, proper AC inside the store. So what people started thinking that this store has increased the prices of their merchandise. So what happened automatically, the sale dipped and dropped to an extent where they were like profitable a month back, and suddenly they have started failing in terms of creating profit. Later they realized that yes, the ambience and the look and feel of the store plays a very important role because they were targeting the affordable segment of the customers. Like they are catering to customers who are looking for affordable products. So what they have done, they have to remove the entire glazing, they have to remove the entire ACs from the stores, and then they came back to the level one where they had started. So I think ambience and the look and feel of the store plays a very vital importance. And as you said, like how you cater to the affordable market, I think you have to keep it very simple, right? Because the person who is buying from Reliance Trends or person who is buying from any Indian brand who is catering to a segment which is a middle class or an upper middle class, they don't want to juggle with things. They don't want things very complicated. They like it very simple. So when a person is entering your store, say a format which is a hypermarket or a supermarket, they want it very simple. They just want to go, they want to see, they just want to buy, right? If I talk about luxury, luxury is all about experience. The experience you're giving to the customers. Wherein an affordable segment is it's not about giving experience, it's about sale, right? That's why if you see a store of if you see Shopper Stop or in that case if you see lifestyle, wherein the type of products that you have inside the store, the density on the wall and the density on the floor fixtures are comparatively higher as compared to the luxury stores because they don't want to create an experience for the customer. They know the customer is coming to buy the product, right? Similarly, when it comes to, I'll say, when it comes to format like a boutique format of a luxury store, wherein you're catering again that person is coming for one particular kind of a Gucci bag or an LV bag that is already there in his mind, right? That he wants to buy that, but he's coming to have an experience also because he's going to take a lot of money from his pocket to buy to justify that. So yeah, so you want to you want to offer them, like you have to offer them what they want, because they are spending hard cash. So I think the basic difference between an affordable and a luxury segment is experience. That's what you look. That's what you give to your customers. Basically.
So yeah, okay. Adding to what Shami is saying. So I think there are two things which I have learned from my experience. One is the loading factor, what he's talking about, that how much you want to pump it onto a shelf or onto any place, like you want to give a loose stack or you want to give a narrow stack. Also, the in-store communications or the hard POSMs play a very important role. Like a brand like a Primark or in that case Max in India, they will want to talk to customers and tell them that what is the price point for the product. It can be small tag, big tags, any kind of tags. Vis-a-vis if you go into a mid segment where like a LP, Van Heusen or Arrow would be sitting, they would want to talk about the product in terms of, let's say there's a knitted shirt or maybe there's a linen. So they will want to tell the customer that this is my product minusing the price points. When we go more higher, the communications may turn up into a kind of a prop, which will talk about the brand imagery. Like let's say we want to go into a Louis Vuitton. So they will not be putting much of these things, but they would want to show what their brand history is or just a connect which brings up. So communication also plays a very important along with the loading factor of the merchant. Yes, yes.
I just wanted to add one small thing. So in the past few years worldwide, there has been a small shift when it comes to experience demand. And even the customers who normally go to affordable brands, they still want an experience because online has started picking up so badly. So if they're not getting it, if they're not getting an experience in the store, they're just gonna go online. And actually, I started noticing this with myself now because I usually spend a lot of time in the stores as it is. 99% of my purchases are online. But when I do travel, and I'm not a luxury customer, I'm not a luxury customer. But even if I walk into an H&M store, if I feel that it's gonna fall on me, I'm gonna instantly walk out. So some kind of experience, I think, is also necessary for the value customer.
I added to this one. This is actually what I was about to say. But what we really miss out is the brand essence on what a brand is based on.
Yes.
So why I can say this is, like I said, 14 brands. So I have Versace also, which they will been compromised. One event they're really making me mad right now. But there's another brand called DMX, which is the lowest version, which is like Sonata if you just want to compare it. The funny thing is, Sonata customers want the exact same thing like Versace, but doesn't want to pay price for it. That's the ideal essence of the entire brand. That what, when I was talking to my CMO and you were like, okay, we are working on this brand, what we should do? And then you were like, what is the truth about this brand? And what is the general essence about the brand? And the brand was all about that the person wants to know, wants to have feel of the relaxed thing, but doesn't want to pay the price of it. And the truth which became was that whatever, all thing what is glittering is gold for him because he wants to go like that. So when you have these aesthetics in mind already, you start shaping yourself that way. So automatically, the creative aspect will start, the juices will start flowing in that way, where while you're keeping, making the display or you're putting the communicators, you already know what kind of a clientele you are looking at. And they are not concerned about the AC if the AC is not visible. If they're not concerned, they are just concerned about the prices because that is the biggest stress for them. They like the product, they just want to see how much it is for before interacting with you. And I think that is why all the clear, having a very nice creative is one part, but just highlighting the price over it. And this is something I really fight a lot. I want to talk about the product should sell, but I've also realized that in certain brands, the pricing is the main factor which drives the sale. So pricing at the right point, at the right time is very, very important with the product. So while these things are very trendy, you have, like again, she's already said that the consumer psychology needs to be mind. Buying patterns also need to be understood. So a guy and a girl shops in very different way. A guy has 10,000 bucks, he buys one shoe isn't done. A girl has 10,000 bucks from cosmetics. She has a budget for everything. She has budget for 500 bucks for a watch. She will not spend 500 one. You go sell whatever she will not sell. Like I said, I sell a lot, so I can relate to all of these things. So when I know she's just going to spend 500 bucks, rather than just show her or just put things or highlight some things which are just in that budget, which they can actually go for. So this is something which a tier 4, tier 5 people can really look into.
This actually reminds me of two experiences of two different brands. With one, the CEO I was talking to in context of VM, and he shared, this was in the denim space, and he shared my denims. I actively work, they didn't have a VM head, that we actively work to make our stores look cheap. I don't want it to look too premium, I don't want it to look but at the end of the day, the customer who walks in imagining this is a affordable store, this doesn't look like one of those premium branded outlets. They walk in, they end up spending more than they do in a Levi's store. But because it looks affordable, they walk in, and thus, my VM is all designed to make it look cheap. Another example was I happened to visit a franchisee store of a very large brand in Kolkata. This is a Harvard returned owner running 30 stores with a 600 crore annual turnover and the brand's most profitable store in the country. And I walk into the store and there's cartons. And I was partnering with the VM head, so of course I knew they are not supposed to have cartons. But he explained that the brand expects this whole decor and this whole look and feel, which is very premium and very international. But the customer wants it to look affordable, and they value imperfection. And these cartons make sure that those customers keep coming back because घर जैसा लगता है. And it was interesting. I don't know right or wrong, to be honest. I'm not an expert. I don't have as deep knowledge as all of you on the subject. But it is the brand's most profitable story.
The numbers are proving it, right?
Yeah, but what's happening to the brand in the long term is a completely different story. How the brand is going to be perceived in that market and the coming generation.
Right.
Because he's catering to one generation, but the next generation is going to become the customer in a matter of time. So, yeah, so that's. So with that, I'll closely come towards the close of the sit down. We'll continue the conversations, but before we go, there are a couple of questions. In a value buying setup, how do you select and decide what to place in the front and what to place at the back? What are the parameters that you use to make the decision? Any thoughts?
I think when you're working for a value format, I guess ELPP plays a very important role. So entry level price point plays a very important role because you are targeting that particular customer who's coming to your store who's not ready to spend more. He wants to spend more, but he wants to buy more as well. So the basket size compared to an EBO store or will differ from a value format store. So a person who is spending $2,000, he want to buy 10 products in 2,000. Similarly, when you go to an EBO, he's okay to buy one shirt which is worth 2,000 rupees. So I think entry level price point plays a very vital role, and that has to be there at the entry when you're working for the value.
The next question is around that I face a huge challenge in the fabrication of designs with the vendor. It's very difficult to get the right output. So anyone wants to share any tricks that you've had up your sleeve and
Can you just repeat it again, please?
Working with vendors to fabricate the designs and not being able to get the right output. For the vendor, I think Mansa answered that early on.
I think that's the answer.
This is a question from the region or a question from the
someone in the group, I don't know.
No, so is it a region-based question or is it from the HO-based question? Like somebody who is designing it is getting it executed, or somebody who is supposed to?
Anyone who wants to.
The vendor one
नहीं. So आप जैसे अगर मैं बना रहा हूँ concept, so I am making the concept and I am
designing concept, and you need to make the vendor understand
from the person who is designing it.
As I said, I've recently kind of cracked it, and I'm sure maybe it works for everyone, doesn't work for everyone, but really good quality vendors. That supersedes everything. We have to know exactly what is in our mind, even if it means creating a mood board with 10 reference pictures and basically making it idiot-proof. In our language, let's say we have a campaign going live and we have to send it to all the store staff. We might be saying something which is in our regular office language is very common to us, but the vendor or the store staff, they will not understand it. So when we make a document, be it a design document or be it an execution document, we write everything. If I have to say A to Z, I will not say A to Z. I will say A, B, C, D. So I think that is something that we have evolved over time. If everything is there, even if it is very verbose, it will work. And a lot of pictures.
Just adding to that, I think prototyping is very important. Like whatever we're going to do, if we can do a prototyping and then send it to regions or wherever we want, I think that helps. Like whether the vendor is a central vendor or a regional vendor, prototyping will help a lot because we will know what the problems and the challenges we face.
But again, to make a prototype, you have to make the vendor understand.
Yeah. So that's like at least you will have 2 levels of communication with the vendor. First is with the ideations, whatever you're going to give it to him. If he comes back with you with maybe drawing something or creating a fixture or something like that, if there's a miss or a hit on that, you can record and then redo it from that point.
I'd like to add one small little thing on this. What I feel is like in most of these cases, what happens is basically you need to understand the material that you are choosing and the output that you are choosing. So you need to have a deeper knowledge about the material that you are using. That is where most of the thing goes wrong. In actual practical reality, that happens a lot of times. That being a designer or being a conceptualizer, you think about certain output, but the material that you are choosing is not the right material to give that output. Okay, so that is what I think you should think through and through.
vendor perspective. So sometimes we get like
Yes, we have to hear that.
so we get like really ambiguous and off briefs, and they want the moon, and they don't know whether they want the pink moon or the white moon. Whether they want the sun. And then you're prototyping, and then you're spending money prototyping, you're sending samples and they're getting rejected. And then they say that the costing is there, and then you don't know how to explain it to them because they themselves don't know what they want.
I think the most money that we spend is on prototyping and not the actual product.
Correct.
Prototyping is very huge amount.
It is.
Huge amount of money it is running around getting the budgets approved. Because I know once we crack that, the journey, onwards is going to be really smooth.
Cookie cutting up.
Yeah.
It's always like making a Taj Mahal, and after a lot of budgeting that happens, the minars are there. So it happens with every creative person who's designing dockets, making the windows, and I've been through, so I know like you create a Taj Mahal and nothing is like only the base is there. This is what we have to go for.
So for me in India, it's been let's say easier because when I joined Bestseller, the good vendor was already there. But generally speaking, I think it's a lot of trial and error until you find a vendor who connects with you, who gets your ideas easily, who is capable of producing what you need. But it's like a relationship. You just have to work until we find the right partner. Basically, who kind of like ticks off all the boxes.
I think time is also a key. Like generally in India, what happens is we have to turn around the windows overnight, like get it approved today and try to roll it out over the weekend. We ask everything, which doesn't happen actually, but we are living in that world. So if we can, work back and try to set up certain things, okay, if my window designing takes 90 days, then it takes 90 days, and we have to be very strong on that. I need 10 days for production. I need 20 days for designing. I need maybe some buffer for something. So if we are putting time to it, everything can turn around. But
How
if we
many
don't
have been
have
successful at that? So before we break for the conversations over coffee, anyone wants to share one of your most funny or frustrating experience? Anyone?
I'm bringing big frustration to
I'll share good one. I'm gonna share frustration. So funny one is that I think opening stores is the best part. I love it. I hate it when operations team can say abhi karo, just now we want to open it right now at 5 in the evening. And so answering somewhere your question, how you fight with them, I just tell them if I open tomorrow, I will do a better job. You will have 15% growth in your business. And I play with numbers with them because I know they will be very happy talking their language. If I say this looks nice and this is very they won't understand because they say expensive. But when I say if I do something like this is going to give you a growth in your this revenue because you've done this much money, and if I do this, you'll get this much. Of course, I know it's not going to happen. It's just hypothetical. But they still go for it. They say, okay, yes, exactly. I play a lot there. So then they're like, okay, 15% growth. Can we make it to like exactly? So salesman. So that's what I would personally recommend you all guys. You should go on the floor, sell for a few days. You'll understand how the sales really work and how to convince, especially ops team, to really sign your budgets. That is one way. And that's one thing. I think the frustrating part is the same. I answered that they push you to do it. And opening is what I love. And I think this is one store which was PMC Pune. You can imagine Phoenix Property. They're the most difficult people to work with. And they can come and stop the work at any point, any given point of time. If any paperwork is not done, they stop the work. You cannot open the store, you cannot work the store. And this I'm talking 3 o'clock in the night when I get to know that there's some paper which is left. So we can't really open the store tomorrow and it has to be delayed for a week. What we do, we all went for Maggie at 3 in the night, just to have Maggie. Went for Maggie and went, oh my God, sorry. We were actually, so what was happening out there?
Deliberately.
Yeah, of course. I was thinking the store was set, so what this team was doing after that for a week was just coming to the store, sitting on the floor, waiting for things to happen.
Because they exactly know what's happening, and then right at the end they'll come.
They come and say, "नहीं हो रहा, नहीं हो रहा." Then I'm like, "क्या करना है? चलो मैं ही खाते बैठ कर आराम से." So that's one part. So I had to be the right. So that was a nice experience that way.
I think a lot of challenge. What I find really frustrating is when it is EBO, it's easier. You have control. But when it comes to shop and shops, and I won't take names, but you know when it comes to shop and shops, it gets really difficult. And something that happened to me like yesterday, we worked on a new portal for a brand or a multi-brand outlet. After I've done everything, after a lot of back and forth for 3 months, I sent the final drawing and I was waiting for approval. That's when their BM guideline came to me. And I'm like, we've been doing it for 3 months. Like, if you had a guideline, you could have just sent it to me earlier. So then at this point, this becomes frustrating. Yes, I shut my laptop like enough. Next week. So I think I know Maggie. Yeah. So that I think becomes challenge. That's a huge because when it's your own EBO, you know who to work around, you know people, you know the industry. But when it comes to working with another shop and shop, then it's a little challenging.
For which you need to pick one brand in the
No names.
There are times where we have opened SIS without branding and without mannequin, without focal points and all. So sometimes it's really frustrating because rest of the brands look so cool and your brand is looking like a beggar and you to Maharaja.
Yeah, and you sometimes take your product and put it at counter which are empty just to fill up. So I got a Instagram message from my boss saying, "What are you doing?" And at 12 o'clock in the night, I'm thinking, but I'm not done this. So finally, I called the sales head and I was like, we never got that space. So how are products there? Like, oh, they wanted to fill space. I said, my job is on 9-year guys don't do this. But it happens. Like they have a tendency of doing these things without approval. We are getting used to it.
We'll just continue the conversations over coffee. But thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you took back something from each other's experiences. But more as you talk, don't hold on, continue the conversations. I'm sure there's lots more to share. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's ask.